So here we are with a non-live video. Not going to have a lot of these right now. It seems like for the foreseeable future, everything was going to be live streams. And then today I decided, in fact, just a couple hours ago, I was like, you know what, maybe I can just go back to just talking about whatever I like on my YouTube channel. You know, it doesn't all have to fit into some similar category. I mean, I'm talking about Cleveland Browns, Ohio State, and fish. That's kind of the main, just like the main bulk of the content on this content. That's the main bulk of what's on this channel, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, who cares? Whatever. That's the beauty of having your own YouTube channel. You can talk about whatever you want. And for today, I want to talk about Francis Ngannou. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, his MMA podcast, and I knew a little bit of his story. I knew he was from Cameroon. He was like digging sand as a kid. Finally found his way to France, was going to try to be a boxer. And then just realize it maybe be a quicker way to the top as a UFC or MMA fighter. You know, if ultimately the goal for him, obviously for him the goal was just money. He's a prize fighter. He is not, and dude, you are not going to mistake this guy as a martial artist. He is just simply, and after hearing his story, his fighting style totally makes sense. He just fights like a caged animal that's just been released, and he's just ready to knock some fools out. And most of the time, that's what he does. But oh my God, I mean, just hearing that, look, as a child, he was digging sand in Cameroon. That's pretty much all you need to hear. But then he went through his 14-month journey on leaving Cameroon, eventually finding his way to France and everything he had to go through in the meantime. It's like, if you hear this 14-month story, digging sand in Cameroon actually sounds like a walk in the park. Getting in the cage and getting exhausted and going 25 minutes with Stipe Miocic must have been a walk in the park. Although he didn't look great that night. It looked like part of me was wondering, damn. Well, that's irrelevant. But anyhow, ultimately that's how he survived that fight, I guess. After going through everything he went through. And I mean, just the journey from Cameroon to Nigeria to Niger to Algeria to Morocco. And then finally getting to Morocco and feeling like, oh, I'm so close. But then that's when it really got hard. Things get, going through Algeria is one thing. It's just like sort of a just unregulated country. He talked about being just out in the desert, going 150 miles per hour in a Tacoma truck. They just stuff as many people as they can into one truck. And you just got to hold on for your life. And I mean, it's not just an expression, holding on for your life. I mean, he talked about having to hold on for so long, your body just starts to cramp up. But that if you let go, that's it. You're going to fall off the truck and you're going to be somewhere in the middle of the desert in Algeria and you're going to die. So when he said I was hanging on for my life, he was actually hanging on for his life. And then just to give you a detail of how horrible it must have been for these people trying to get across Algeria to Morocco. He said at one point there was a lady with him that had a young kid. And early on, she was just ready to give up. She just couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't do it anymore. She just wanted to throw the baby away and die. Luckily, the crew there with her did not allow that to happen. So somehow he finally gets to Morocco. And then from Morocco, they got to get to the coast. I mean, they're going through forest. There's barbed wire. There's these language barriers. Now there's border patrol and police and military and all this after them. Getting through Cameroon, Nigeria, Niger, they had to worry about just criminals and pirates and people that were wanting to rob them and just rip them off, rape the women, beat. He's a big guy, so people like to beat on him with, they would use weapons to beat on him. So just all kinds of abuse. He told a horrible story about being stuck in barbed wire and just having to decide, should I just lay here and chill? Or I'm screwed. But if I lay here, I'm screwed. They're going to come get me, just drop me off in the middle of the desert somewhere. But if I fight my way out of this, I'm just going to be cut from head to toe. So that's what he decided to do. He just bum rush, much like probably when he's on his back in a fight, just explodes out of it. All cut up, ends up having to go to a hospital. Then he had to decide, should I sit here in the forest and bleed to death, or do I go to a hospital knowing that when I go to the hospital, they're just going to take me back to the desert and drop me off? So that happened 6 times, where he got to the coast, got on a boat, got on the water, only to be sent back. And then the 7th time was finally a charm. On the other side of Morocco, he just had to get to Spain. Once he got to Spain, there was a little bit of a holdup. And at this point, we're 2.5 hours into the story. So many details I'm leaving out. I tried to get a coworker on board. About 90 minutes in, he bailed. He was like, look, man, I can't take any more of this sad story. I just want to hear about the fights. And as much as I want to hear about what happened in the Derek Lewis fight, I was thinking, man, this guy just walked through hell and nearly died who knows how many times for 14 months. Certainly, we could sit here and listen to him tell the story for 2.5 hours. But he had enough. He bailed. I guess I'll have to tell him the end. Well, I mean, he knows the end. He got to the end. So anyways, I don't really know what, I don't know. It was just, I mean, you hear these stories. I wouldn't believe this story. I mean, I know he's like a real life human. He's a superhuman. But I know he's a real life human that exists. He's telling this story. He's not like trying to sell a book or anything. I believe the guy. He was just telling the story. It's not even like he was bragging or anything. Along the way, though, he did become a bit of a legend over there. And then I guess just the circle of immigration, people trying to get out of Africa and get to Spain. And he kind of became a legendary captain over there. And then I wondered, they were calling him Van Dam. That was his nickname. Then I wondered, though, like, did they know that this guy had failed 6 times? I imagine you just looked at him. I mean, he's an impressive-looking human being. I can't imagine why. Oh, that was another great story. At one point where he had just had enough, and I think he was talking about Border Patrol, but he was thinking, like, look, if those Border Patrol guys are there, they give me any, if they put up any bit of a fight at all, there's only 3 of them. And he just had it made up in his mind, 3 soldiers are not stopping me. Everything I've been through, the guy I am, yeah. So luckily there was not 3 soldiers there to try to stop him, or else there might be 3 dead guys out in the desert somewhere, in the forest in Morocco or something. So just an unbelievable story. And he does have a big fight coming up with Stipe. I don't know if you're still here watching and you're a UFC fan. You know how the first fight went. But boy, and I'm a big Stipe fan, obviously being from Ohio. I'm always going to be on Team Stipe, but it's going to be really hard to root against this dude. And probably won't matter because I think Stipe's in trouble. I just can't imagine this guy losing now. After hearing this story, he had to just kind of like he learned some lessons along the way in his journey. There's a nice little, there's something here about his journey in life, trying to get to freedom, and now his journey through the sport, trying to become the champ. He's really only had one setback so far. I'm sure it was nothing like being stuck in barbed wire, wondering, should I bleed to death or should I go to the hospital and then get sent back to the desert? I don't know. So I don't know. Obviously, I recommend checking it out. I don't know if you listen to Rogan or not. Check him out. He's on Spotify now. It's exclusive. So yeah, this was amazing. And I don't even know if I'll upload this. Why not? But I don't know if anybody will watch. I don't know if they'll make it this far. If you're wondering what's up with this room, well, I'm on my dinner break at work and I'm in the little isolation room. Nice little studio, though. Wonder how it sounds in here. It kind of seems studio-ish with these walls. Everything's kind of soundproof. I mean, they're out there rocking away, got machines running, radios on. Can't hear anything but my big mouth in here. So anyhow, I guess the moral of the story, and then just life in Cameroon, a bunch of adults telling him, you can't. Kind of like, there's just horrible areas of this country where I'm sure every kid just feels like there's no way out. But that's why I was saying he's a superhuman. He had no reason to feel like he could make it. But somewhere he was just like, enough of this, man. I'm out of here. Left some money with his family, took some money with him. It was like eating money and shitting it out at some point because he knew it'd just get robbed and stolen from him in Niger and Algeria. That whole run. And I don't know. So, moral of the story, it's going to be really hard to root against him. And the rest of the world, sometimes you wonder, like, I want to be proud to be an American. I want to believe this is the greatest country on earth. But, over the last decade or so, things not looking so good. Especially here in the last 3 or 4 years, gotten even worse. But when you start hearing stories about the rest of the world, how people are treated, and you realize this guy is here now, living the greatest life he could ever imagine. It's still pretty good here in America. Yeah, we got some problems, but if you just hear the stuff, even when he got to France, he thinks he's free. He's like, finally, I'm here. I've made it. And then he gets to France, and he's like, yeah, it's not good having an accent in France. Just ultimately, they end up making you feel bad about yourself if you're not one of them. I was like, oh, wow. I didn't know France was like that. I thought France was just a bunch of do-gooders. Meanwhile, they're a bunch of racist assholes, too, apparently. That seems to be a common theme, getting to know some of these UFC fighters from all around the world. You realize America's not. We're not the only shitheads in the world. Just pretty much the entire world's full of shitheads. That's the moral of the story. But guys like Francis persevere. They overcome it all. And, I don't know. I just admire superhumans like that. It's unfortunate that he's fighting another one of my guys. Another superhuman, Stipe Miocic. He's got his own story. All right, guys. Boom. I've talked long enough. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Maybe they can have a draw. Well, they can't keep drawing. I don't know. Anyhow, boom. That's what he's going to say. Boom. When he says boom, it's like an explosion.